Welcome back to Great Tastes, and tonight we're making ground pork and vegetable chow mein here with Manitoba Pork, Susan Reese. Of course, there's all kinds of variations that we can do for pretty much all of the recipes, right? But tonight you're bringing your own special thing here.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So pork, of course, is a staple in Asian cooking. This is by no means an authentic recipe. I'm not Asian, so I'm not going to take credit for that. But I just wanted something to represent all of the different Asian cultures in Manitoba. So, you know, you've got folks from Japan, from China, South Korea, the Philippines. And so I picked this recipe just because ground pork is, you know, so versatile, cooks quick, and a chow mein is an easy stir fry that you can pull together in a jiffy.
And I think one of the things that, I didn't know, well, not I think, it was something I actually didn't know, was that like our Manitoba pork goes all over the world too.
Yeah, we export to about 24 different countries, and the Asian countries that I just mentioned are all part of that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to finish cooking this ground pork. It's pretty much done. You just want to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. There's no pink. Break up the bigger pieces a little bit, but you still want to leave some bigger like chunks in there. You don't want it like super fine.
We've had this conversation, I think, several times, you and I, over the course of the last number of years, and I always overcook. Until I met you, Susan, I would always overcook pork. So it's good to have those tips.
Yeah.
As far as what it should look like.
Ground
right?
pork is a little different because it's ground meat, so you want to make sure it's cooked through, but I turned that off. Other cuts, yeah, not so much. So while I'm working on the veg, I'm going to get you to start the sauce.
Yes, okay.
So we've got some chicken broth, soy sauce, and sesame oil in that measuring cup. And you're just going to add a little bit of sugar and ginger.
Yeah.
And then once you've got that mixed together, you can do the cornstarch slurry. Okay. And that's just going to help thicken up the sauce once it
that word slurry
gets into the pot. So we've got some onion here that we're frying up with a little bit of garlic. If I didn't throw it all out of the pan.
You okay over there?
Yeah. And you want to cook that just for about a minute, just until it gets a little bit fragrant.
Fragrant, yeah.
And then we are going to, I'm just going to turn this pan up a little bit. Then we're going to start adding some cabbage and some mushrooms and some celery. So we're using a Napa cabbage.
Oh yeah.
Napa cabbage is just a little bit milder in flavor than, you know, your regular green cabbage. And it looks like a lot, but it's going to cook down quite a bit. It cooks
down. It's incredible how cabbage just kind of cooks right on down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've got some white mushrooms that we've quartered. You could use cremini mushrooms too if you wanted.
Okay.
And then our celery.
And so that part takes about how long? And it doesn't take long for that cabbage to cook down.
No, like once it gets going, it only takes about like maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, a minute to saute the onion and the garlic, then add the cabbage, the mushrooms, and the celery. Leave that for another few minutes. And what's really going to help is once we've added the sauce in. So that's going to help whittle it down too. Okay. So if you wanted to pour that in, Des, you can go right ahead. Okay.
And I guess, like, you know, we were talking about this is sort of your take on this, right? And but you can sort of fool around with the flavors a little bit. And
yeah, I mean, at chow mein, there's always like tons of vegetables. You can vary up the meat, obviously. Of course, we would like it to be pork. And then also your noodles. I mean, we're going to be using chow mein noodles, which are wheat-based. But, you know, if you wanted to use a rice noodle, you could probably go for a rice noodle. So many different
kinds,
too,
yeah, like really so many different kinds.
Okay, so we're going to have to imagine this a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to cook down a little bit more, but then we're going to add our green peppers and our red peppers. So lots of color that we're adding to this.
And we haven't even touched on the nutritional value of a meal like this. You
know,
it's just loaded with good stuff.
Absolutely, with all the different vegetables and the meat in there, which is a high quality protein that is just going to work out perfectly.
Beautiful.
And then we've got some bean sprouts we're adding in as well. And then we're going to add our ground pork to that now too.
Okay.
So put that in. Here's a fun fact. From breakfast to dinner, lean ground pork is affordable, flavorful, and extremely versatile, which makes it a great alternative to other ground meats. And like other cuts of pork, it's an excellent source of high-quality protein that's rich in key vitamins and minerals. So be sure to power up with pork. I think we're good. I think it's we can put the noodles in now.
Okey-doke.
So again, we've let the cabbage wilt down. Those peppers, you still want a little bit of tender crisp, but you know, not crunchy.
Crunchy, yeah.
And the recipe calls for a full bag of noodles, but I tend to like more vegetables and pork than noodles, so I will not be putting in this whole amount. You can kind of, this is where the noodles come in great actually, because you can stretch this meal for longer just by adding more noodles, or you can not put as many noodles in and
again,
focus more on the veg. So then once you've got your noodles sort of incorporated in there, you can toss in some green onion, another little pop of color.
Like it looks pretty.
And yeah, just let that cook for a few more minutes, like maybe a couple more minutes, just so that the noodles can absorb some of the sauce and everything's nicely coated, and away you go.
And I was going to say leftovers, but I don't know. I don't know how many leftovers you can have.
There probably will be leftovers. I mean, it does make quite a lot, as you can see, but
yeah,
it goes down fast.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susan. Looks amazing. Smells incredible. All right. Ukrainian-style braised pork stew here. Celebrate Manitoba here with Manitoba Pork when we come back on Great Tastes.